Yeah. Um, hello, Shereen and
Hi,
Chloe.
Latanya. Hi, Latanya. She says, hi, Titi
Hi.
Tanya.
No, what I was starting to say was if I should have done the longer intro or the shorter
Oh,
one, like
oh no.
give it
Oh,
time.
well. The shorter
Yeah,
one is.
that I know. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome to everyone. Real Talk, Real Solutions at the heart of the conversation. And our special guest, Chloe, in the picture. She's just so adorable.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
yes, that is our Chloe. Chloe. And hi, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us. Rosalind, thank you so much for joining us as well. And to everyone in the eye, thank you so much as well. So, as you see on the title, we are doing um, red flags. I'm trying to do it like, okay, red flags, yellow flags, and then green flags in a relationship. And so what do they really mean? And so we were wanting to talk about the different areas for a person who is single, a person who is biblically divorced and want to remarry, a person who is widow and is considering being remarrying. I think I hit all those. Yeah, I think I hit all of them. And so we wanted to this live stream from a conversation, and so it just kind of spilled over where I was like, you know what, let's do a live on this and talk about the different flags and the colors and what they represent, and especially between women and men, how it's very interesting how the things that men, what they will see and what they will like, red flag, I'm out of here. Like, I'm done. And women, we tend to see the red flags, but we'll just continue. We'll just continue on and continue on with it. And why do we do that? And yes, we have Chris, who is a guy. So, Chris, we would love to get your input as well on this. And also, if anyone wants to come on, just let us know and we will share the link and you can come and join the conversation. And so, yes.
I wanted to show a video, but it's on Facebook. And that little short clip in that video is a huge red flag. And I'm just wondering if that lady is going to stay. Because in that, since I can't show it, in that video, it's a young couple who just got engaged. And there was a man there. I don't know if this was some sort of a television show or whatever, but he asked them a question. And he said he asked them, what is your, what is some, I'm going to rephrase it. What is something that you like that is, okay, kind of weird? Something that would be weird uh, to do with your partner or whatever. Anyway, so he says, I'm into Asian women despite what I'm marrying. Now,
Mm.
this couple, they're both Caucasian. Now, for him, now, first of all, that's not, okay, the word was fetish. I'm sorry. He asked them what was their fetish, and he said he's really into Asian women. That's not a fetish, that's preference. And so when he said that, you should have seen the look on her face. And so she says, well, I am a white woman. I can't do anything about that. And so then the gentleman who's interviewing them asked her that question, and she turns and looks at him and she goes, he's my fetish. And again, that's a preference. But my thing is that they just got engaged. What man would stay engaged to a woman if the question was, I mean, if she answered that question and said that to her fiance, oh, this is what it is, blah blah blah, say like whatever her fiance might be, but she'll say she prefers the opposite. Now, I don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't think a man would stick around for that, but I'm wondering, is she going to stay with him? Is she going to marry him? Possibly she might, but I don't know. But that's a big, huge red flag right there. But I think she's gonna go through the red flag stops.
Oh wow. I remember when you told me about that, and I was like, what? But how she handled herself was really good. How she handled that. And so, but I'm sure probably her friends saw that, maybe family members. And so that would be very interesting um, afterwards, like what they might say about that. Like, wow, that is one of those interviews. It would have been nice to get a follow up with that and to like, okay, um, hmm, what's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I went to the comment section, and all the comments that I was able to look at, everyone was like, "Run, get away from him. He would be single so fast." So yeah,
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's yeah, what is those in the comment section? What do you all think? What do you think about that? And you did say, Shireen, you said you couldn't. It's on Facebook, so you can't.
yeah, it's on Facebook, and I didn't link my Facebook um channel, so I can't. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can. Hold on. I'll
Okay,
try.
okay, okay. And so I will. In the meantime, I will. I will show. It's a video, and it's saying, let me just try to see if I can pull it up really quick. Um, let me see. Um, it is. Let me see if I can find. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I am going to pull up this one. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Um, let me share my screen. But before I do that, let me put up my disclaimer here. Okay. Don't want to get us a copy strike, so let me go to the video and oops, nope, not that one. Okay, here we go.
For me, or if I'm just choosing it because I'm scared to be alone.
God did not put you here on the earth to get married. In the Bible, singleness is actually honored. You will settle for a lot of things because it just feels so good to be liked.
We talked about some green flags. What are some red flags? Hey, stop where you're at.
You're saying you're hoping some people may break up as a result of this.
Honestly, welcome to the Live Change podcast. Today, I'm joined in the studio with Caroline and Jason. And guys, today we're talking about dating, specifically how do we date well. And I want this episode to hit people really where it hurts in some ways. I want this to be a don't get married until you listen to this whole episode kind of episode.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're
I
going to
don't know
make
if I like hitting people where it hurts, but
that's true. The heart, man.
the heart.
There's some heartbroken people out
It's
there
all
like, I
out
need
of
to hear
love.
this.
Yeah.
I need to hear this. But you're going to make a ton of important decisions in life, right? Like, hey, where do I go to school? What do I study? The city I live in, the friends I have. But I'm sure we'd all agree the biggest life decision you'd make as far as who you're partnering with in life, getting married, is going to shape the trajectory of your life, your well-being, and even how you follow Jesus in a ton of ways too.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And so I think to get us started, my hope today too is just that people walk away with like, here's a list of green flags. Here's a list of maybe red flags I want to avoid. And if they're in a relationship right now, they can even do kind of an audit of like, hey, is this going well? Is this trending the way I need it to go for
So
marriage?
you're saying you're hoping some people may break up as a result of this podcast.
Honestly, in a good way.
If it's
It'd
not
be
good,
good.
for,
Not good
you,
for you.
that might be good. So.
Absolutely. So let me be there. If you get bumped, don't send me an email from this podcast, please. But I do hope that this serves people well as they evaluate, hey, is this for me? Is it not for me? And I would think a good place to start is I think we get into relationships we regret or aren't good for us when we kind of feel like we're stuck between, well, I don't be alone.
Mhm.
And so I feel like I have to settle.
Mhm.
And that's maybe what I want to speak to first. How do I know if I'm choosing a relationship because it's actually right for me or if I'm just choosing it because I'm scared to be alone?
Well, I think you're totally on the right track with that. That I've found the people who tend to get into the worst relationships are the ones who feel like, for whatever reason, they need a relationship. And that's one of the things I've told my kids a bunch, especially my older one, Solomon 7. So he's not ready yet. Though he's got the eyes for the girls right now. Anyways, but when you need a relationship, that's the worst time to start. When you need it, it's the worst time to look for one, because you're going to be. Well, you said settle.
Yeah.
You're going to settle for something in that moment.
Yeah.
Your question though is about why we get to that point.
Yeah, differentiating between like, this is actually good for me and I should feel the freedom to actually date this person, or like, I'm just doing this right now because I feel like I'm afraid to be alone.
I was gonna say, I feel like if you're truly honest with yourself, you know if you're dating that person for the wrong reasons. If you're willing to ask those questions like, am I just with this person because it's been a long time and it feels easy or it's comfortable? Or am I giving into my standards? Am I giving into the standard that God has for me? If I'm honest, is this just makes my life more entertaining and more fun and I don't feel lonely? Like if you actually ask yourself those questions and were truly honest, you know the answer, And so I would just say you're not doing yourself any favors by not asking those questions. And you're hurting yourself. Psalm 127 says that unless the Lord builds the house is built in vain. And it's so crazy to think that there are people who spend years pouring their heart and soul into a relationship and they haven't let God build the house at all. They haven't sought God's wisdom on what he says we should look for in a relationship. They haven't sought godly counsel. They haven't invited God into it. So he hasn't built the house. And what that verse is saying is if that's the case, then the relationship is pointless. And so imagine years of your life. I'm not saying God can't redeem things, but years of your life, you're pouring your heart into it. And God's saying, well, if you didn't let me build that, then it's a waste. That's crazy to think about.
Wow. I'm sorry. I just had to stop right there because wow. Unless the Lord builds the house, you're laboring in vain. Wow. And I like what you said, how deep down we know, we really, really know if we just in a room by ourselves with us and God and just really lay it out to God, XYZ. This is really, really, the deal. I really know. But a lot of times there's the but that's there. And so, and a lot of times women, I think we have a little harder time, like maybe pulling away or either just, I don't want to say, I don't know, but, as to why it's so different for men, why when they see the red flags, typically they just they don't stick around or they don't continue in it. But Shereen, were you able to find that video? I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on.
Yeah, I found it. Let me see. Let me see if I could share it. Let me see
Okay.
if that'll work. Oh, I guess it will. Okay, I think I can. Yep. Yay.
Okay. So we'll pause this one. Okay.
Okay. All right. So can you see that little? Can you see? Well, I don't see it. I think you might have to stop sharing your video. Latanya, I think you'll have to stop. Oh, yeah, I think you'll.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, there it is. Yay. Okay. So
Okay.
it's a short video. Okay, Chloe. Oh, what did I do here? Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. Can you still see that by any chance?
Well, it says okay now.
You can see it now? Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did before. Okay, here we go.
Y'all just got engaged. What's y'all's fetish? I'm really, really into Asian women despite what I'm marrying.
Bruh.
I'm literally a white woman. I don't know what to say about that. So,
What's your fetish?
my fetish, that man right there. This one. Yeah. Thank
I
you.
hope y'all have a great wedding.
Yeah, so see, again, a fetish is something you actually like that it's really weird. Like, okay, say like you, I said this before, I'm sorry, excuse me. If you like sucking someone's big toe or something, like that's a fetish. Or doing something weird or gross that you normally wouldn't do. He prefers Asian women. And again, how do you, but you know what, I kind of say maybe it's a good thing he asked that question and she heard what he said, because I pray that she would really step back and just say, no, I'm not going to move forward with this. And again, he didn't even say, I'm really into Asian women despite who I'm marrying. He said what I'm marrying. What does that mean? She's not a what? I think I understood what he meant. She's white. She's, that's the what, but still, she's a person. She's not a what. But hopefully, she won't go forward with that relationship. She'll give him back his ring and say goodbye.
Yes. Yes. I don't know who wrote this, but it says never trade your partner's dignity for a cheap laugh.
Hmm.
Yeah, they wrote that up under that. And I was like, yeah. And I was looking at her face, and when he's after, she was like, well, it's him. And she, unless I misread it, but in her face it looked like disappointment, even maybe embarrassment.
Yeah, I think all the above and then some,
Yeah.
like shock and disbelief and hurt. And I think she was trying to
Yes.
play it off to try to make it look like she wasn't too shocked, but
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, ladies.
Hi,
Hi,
Billy.
Billy.
How is everyone?
Good.
You okay? Yeah, so that was the video. Like, it's terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. What would any of you do? Chris, what would you do if you just got engaged and that person asked a question like that? Well, I don't think you would be anywhere near someone asking you that type of question. That's not something we as believers are gonna ask another believer something stupid like that. But let's just say hypothetically, you were asked a question like that and your fiance responded the way he did. What would you? The question was, that man asked that couple, what is your fetish? And like I said, that's not a fetish. When I mentioned about the toes, that's a fetish. That's doing something that's off kilter that you like. But what he said, that's a preference. He prefers Asian women over his Caucasian fiance. So if your fiance said something like that, how would you take that? And what would you do? You wouldn't have an answer, but what would you do in regards to your engagement and your relationship with your fiance? Again, I don't think as believers we would do such a thing, but you never know. You got some people out there. Anyway, so yeah, that was just a hypothetical question.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Chris said, hold on. He's coming on.
Okay.
That's a really good question.
I know
While
my
we're waiting, yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I know
no.
a friend of mine, he'd be like,
Mhm.
goodbye. He'd say goodbye in a heartbeat. You're like, nope, goodbye.
They say, don't let the door catch you.
Or yeah, don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, wow. Um, let's see. What I guess from
I'll be
the
right back.
women who are here, Lisa, Rosalind, what would
I'm sorry.
you
I'll be right back. I'm sorry. I gotta feed Chloe. I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
okay. So Lisa and Rosalind, what and who, let me see, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Um, what would you all do? What is your thoughts? Okay, let's see. Hi, Chris. Thank you for joining us. We can't
All
hear
right.
you. Oh, okay. Okay. Now we can
Can you
talk.
hear me?
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
It's kind of, wait, it's kind of really like loud. Okay,
Hold on.
can you say something now? Hello?
Is it lagging?
Okay, now that's a little better.
Okay.
So Chris, do you remember the question that Shireen asked you?
Can you repeat it one more time?
Okay, I can't, but I'll give you my. How would you respond? How would you maybe respond let's say, uh, if that happened to you, like if it was a lady and she had said she would, in spite of what you are or with you, that they their preference is like an Asian guy or some other type of ethnicity. Would you consider that a big red flag?
Hmm. Uh, it was a little distracting because I could hear you guys, but then tell me the question one more time because I'm getting an echo too, and I didn't know
Yes,
if I need to leave out and come back in.
your audio is not the best.
Hold on.
Yeah, Lisa even mentioned
Can
that
you hear me now?
Okay, I think that's better. What you think, Millie?
I
Is
was
that
using a
better?
headset. That's why. Sorry.
Yeah, he sounds a lot better.
Sorry about that.
Okay, okay. So yes, so as a guy, if this was done to you, like the person you're with, engaged to, and someone asks you, both of you asks you a question, I mean, asked her a question, and she
Hmm.
said, "Well, I prefer Asian men than what you are." How would you feel about that?
I would be taken aback by it, I'd be honest. And I probably try to pick her brain more as to why she might feel that way, honestly. But it would make me feel some kind of way if I'm going to be honest about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's I I was playing a video that was kind of talking about a little bit of this. So, well, Millie, do you do you want me to uh, finish playing the video? Then you, or would you like to comment
No, play the
something?
video.
Oh,
You can play
okay,
the
okay,
Yeah, play the video. That's fine.
okay, okay. Let me. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I need to share my video, share my screen again. Sorry. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Here we go.
You can
All
answer
right.
that, and you have to know, you have to kind of dig deep for your motives there. And the problem is, the reason why it's tricky is because it feels so good to be liked.
Yeah.
It just feels so good.
Yep.
And sometimes you like being liked, and to the point where you will justify a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
and you will put up with a lot of things, and you will rationalize a lot of things, and you will settle for a lot of things because it just feels so good to be liked. It's just not, it's not sustainable. And I mean, we could tell stories about people who it didn't work out because you settled on a few things, and there were some red flags. You know, I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. And you just kind of settled though, because the fear of being alone, or not having someone like you, that feeling, is not worth it.
And I think you touched on something too. Even as we kind of pose that question, it's kind of the misconception that like I'm wasting my time if I'm alone. Really, we're wasting our time if we end up with the wrong person for an amount of time too. Like we can learn from it, but at the end of the day, if it's like, hey, I spent 5 years alone working on myself, or 5 years in a relationship that wasn't good for me, and I ended it, you're still not with that person in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and there can be so much damage that you're causing your heart, their heart. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, part of that's rooted in a cultural pressure and a cultural myth about that value is kind of how not necessarily attractive you can be, but are you in a relationship? Singleness is not necessarily celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is, it's like celebrated in a very sort of kind of this idea of like, I'm going to stay single, but I can still do whatever I want with my body and all that kind of stuff. So it's even kind of warped a little bit on that side. But what I mean is, in the Bible, singleness is actually honored.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Bible, singleness is seen as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's very countercultural. Jesus was single. Jesus was never married. Paul may have been married at some point. We don't know. He could have been, what was that called? A man is widowed, a widower, or a widow, a widower, I guess. So he may have, but we know he went through his ministry years not being married. And he says at one point, this is in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he says, look, if you're single and you want to get married, great. That's fine. He's like, but also he just says, just know that when you do, you will be distracted. Like, there is a focus for ministry. The greatest aim of your life is not to get married.
Yep.
The greatest aim, God did not put you here on this earth to get married. That is not his aim and singular aim and intention for your life. If that happens, great. He put you here to know him, walk with him, and join him in his work in this world.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. That's why you were created.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can do that while married. Some people can do that single, but it doesn't matter. But Paul says the moment you get married, your attention will be divided. It's not like it has to be. If I'm a pastor and I'm married, if I give all of my attention exclusively to LCBC and the ministry here, and I ignore Jenny, I'm off.
Right.
Like, that's not good. But that also means there's things that I can't do.
Yep.
And so he's just saying, hey, look, man, don't get sucked into the myth of feeling like you've gotta be in a relationship, because that'll lead you sometimes again to the settling thing. And it's not only that, there are gifts in singleness. That's what he's trying to say. There are gifts. There are things you can do in singleness you will not be able to do any other way. And it's not like, oh, well, that sounds great. But he was single, and I don't know. It's not something to be pitied.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something to be pitied. It's something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
So
that's also why it matters so much who you are dating, because you should be dating to marry someone that you think you could see yourself marrying someday. And God wants to use your marriage. He wants you and your spouse to be a powerhouse for the kingdom of God. Like,
yes.
He has huge plans for you and your marriage. And so it matters if you're marrying somebody who's not a Christian, well, how in the world is that going to work? How in the world is that going to happen? God doesn't want your marriage to be in vain. He wants to be able to use it for kingdom purposes, for something that matters so much bigger than here and now. That's amazing. What purpose in that?
Yeah, Tim Keller has a great book on the meaning of marriage, and he explores that and just basically says, look, man, marriages can be used as
I wanted to stop it there, and please, anyone, if you want to like, oh, want me to stop it or want to say something, just unmic, just talk, just and I'll do that. I thought that was a good breakdown, like especially what he was saying about, and scripture does talk about that, how when you are, if you're a single person and you do have that gifting of being single, and then some people just, whether, I mean, I don't know, they have it or not, they just end up, being, single. um and how he had mentioned how you're not distracted because you don't have, like, you can just be single focused, how he mentioned it, but like how he mentioned he's married and yet he did, I think he did say, yeah, he's a pastor or in the ministry. And if he gives all of his attention to that and ignore Jenny, his wife, there's going to be some problems. There's going to be a problem. And I have heard of some marriages and situations where they're like, well, how can I put it? How they have said it, like, well, I'm doing this work for God, and if you don't want to come along, or if you not, or blah blah blah, or however they can be, or they're just giving all of their time to the ministry, and they think they're in the right. They're not. They're not. If that was the case, then it's kind of like, uh, maybe you need to stay single, and then you can give all your attention, everything, not being divided or whatnot. But if you do get married, then you are going to have to give attention, and not neglect your spouse. And then if you have children, that part that is there. So what do you all think?
Just telling the truth. Because if you're involved in ministry, it does take a lot of time, a lot of energy. And, when you're just focusing on that, yeah, you don't get sidetracked. And you don't have to sit up there and account for another person if you're not ready to do so. And it's why I'm still single, going 40 years into this earth. But that was my choice. And, because tomorrow we got a prayer walk coming up with my ministry tomorrow. So if I was involved with someone, then I'd be, I have to, think about them too. But thankfully I don't. For me, the struggle is just, feeling lonely, having those, having that urge to need to have somebody near me. And it's okay to want to have companionship. I'm speaking for myself. But it's also good to, have the advantage that I have, because I can just get up and leave and not have to be home at any specific period of time as well. So there's, like he said, there's advantages and disadvantages to that. But the primary thing is, it should be, how am I best using my time? Am I growing his kingdom, or, or what am I doing? So that's my thought on that.
Thank you, Chris. That was really good. Thank you.
Oh,
Well, I
you're
finished.
welcome.
I've been in both. Um, in ministry, married, and in ministry, single. And both of them require balance because it is difficult, especially when you have young ones. But it is, I mean, I don't see anything that he said that was wrong. It's just, you have to have a good balance. I mean, you can do ministry while you're married. Um, it's just that when the kids are involved, you know, you got school and you got homework and you got um, all kinds of little um, distractions that can, and especially if they're in sports or, you know, as they get older and things like that. Um, so you know, the bottom line is I'm enjoying my singleness now because it's, you know, there are no distractions. I can totally concentrate on ministry and, you know, go about my my duties for the rest of the time. So but I've seen both, I've experienced both, and yeah, it just gets a little bit more challenging when there is a family involved. But otherwise, if you know how to make that balance work, and there are people who do know how to balance that, hey, it's a good thing.
Of course, I have to be the odd man out, right? I just have one thing. This is just a pet peeve of mine. I know he was talking about Paul being single, and then when he said Jesus was single. Okay, my pet peeve is please stop using Jesus as the example for being single because he's God. He wasn't on this earth to get married. He's God. So please don't use him. You can use Paul, use anybody else. I wish people would stop using Jesus, but that's just my pet peeve. Okay, so what he said, the scripture verses in 1 Corinthians 7, verses 25 to 30, 34. Okay, this is to the unmarried and widows. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment from the Lord, yet I give judgment as one whom the Lord in his mercy has made trustworthy. I suppose, therefore, that this is good because of the present distress. Wait a minute, sorry. No, I don't want to read that. I'm sorry. Let me go to 29. No, 32. Sorry. But I want you to be without care. He who is unmarried cares for the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he who is married cares about the things of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares about the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she who is married cares about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And everything he just said, and everything that Chris just said, and Millie said, is so true. I mean, because scripture talks about it right here. When you're single, you have all the time in the world to devote your life to the Lord, because your care and your focus would be solely on him. But then once you become married, now you're concerned about the things of the world and how you will please your husband or how your husband will please the wife. So there are challenges. I think there are challenges on both ends, whether you're single or you're married. And I did like what he said. It wasn't, the Lord didn't put us here on this earth so that we could get married. Like, that's not his ultimate end goal. But at the same time, I also think about Okay, God created Adam, and he looked amongst the animals, and he saw that there was no one like Adam. And so what did he do? He created a helpmeet. He created Eve. So no, God's ultimate goal is not so much for us to get married, but he did create marriage. He created that incredible covenant for a man and a woman. So if that's what you desire, then praise God. You know, I pray the Lord will grant those that desire. And if it's not your desire, and even if it is and you kind of feel like it's not going to happen, just I guess praise God in the midst of where you're at. And the Lord will continue to sustain you until he brings your mate into your life.
That was, thank you. No, Shireen, that was not how did you put it? You said to be the I don't remember the word
Well,
that
I said I have to be the odd man out when I made that my pet peeve about when people tend to mention, oh, Jesus was single. No, don't use
No,
God. You can't
right,
use God. Use him as the example.
right, right. No. I agree with that. Jesus, his purpose, and it was very clear of what, excuse me, what his mission was, and it wasn't to get married, and it was to come and to redeem us. And so, yes, I thank you for, yes. When that is pointed out, well, Jesus, he was single, and what? No, let's not blur with that. He had a clear purpose of what he was, of what it was for him, and so no, that I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, yep. He was uh, never here to get married. Yeah, that's true.
Because he's God. That's my biggest thing.
It's not
Jesus
even
is
a
God.
thought.
Jesus is God. He's not. Yeah, never a
Yeah,
thought. He's
yeah,
God.
it's not even a
Perfect.
thought.
Sinless. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just. I mean, I don't know. That's just something that you. I mean, maybe there's somebody who think, but it's just. Yeah, yeah. That's. I don't know what to say about that, but yeah, that's really good. Yes. And then of course one of the obvious ones uh about a red flag not being, and they mentioned that, I think the lady did, how they do not love Jesus, not being equally yoked together. So not, yeah, let me,
They are expressions of what God can do. Reconciliation, how God can bring forgiveness, because you got to forgive each. I mean, like they're basically a little outpost of all that God can do when you're both aligned. You said something to remind me of something that Ben Stewart. Ben Stewart's got a great book on dating and singleness and marriage and engagement. And anyways, one of the things he talks about is that dating at the end of the day is evaluation, not a status. We look at dating as a status. I'm dating someone. Dating is not a status to be taken on. Dating is an evaluation to be entered into.
Yeah.
And so when that kind of goes to that, the purpose of it all, right? And so when I'm dating someone, I'm doing it very intentionally to determine character, to determine missional alignment. Like, are we both pursuing Jesus? You know, and all that. So, but it's an evaluation. It's not a status that you're looking to take on.
So what I'm hearing too is like, hey, we're created for kingdom impact. For some people, if you're just doing the math, that's going to be singleness. For some people, that's going to be marriage. I love how you spoke to kind of the cultural misconception with singleness. Can we do that quick for marriage too? Because I think culturally there's this conception of like, I got to
Oh,
find the one.
This is a
You complete
okay.
me.
That's not where I thought you were going, but
We can go there,
no,
wherever you wanna
go there real quick.
So there's just this idea like, I need to find the one. There's this
Yeah.
one person that will make me complete, and that's the person for me.
Let the pressure off.
Mm.
If that's the case, listen to this. This is how ridiculous that idea is. If there's truly only one out there, all it takes is one person to screw that up for the whole world.
Yep.
Because if they didn't get the right person, then that means you just do the dominoes
Yeah.
started falling at that point.
Mm.
So no, God's will is a lot more permissive on that. God's will is that you marry. He talks about in 2 Corinthians 6 to not be unequally yoked. So that is a principle for Christians who are entering into relationships, is to go, look, if you're entering into a relationship and the other person doesn't know Jesus, doesn't care about following Jesus, whatever, all Paul is saying is there will come a moment like two ox or two horses that are yoked, tied together, where one wants to pull this way and the other wants to pull this way. And guess what? When one wants to pull the right, one wants to pull the left, guess where you go? Nowhere.
Yep.
And that's all he's saying is you will get stuck. And just think practically for a second. You marry someone who doesn't value generosity and you are tithing, that's going to put you in conflict because you can go, why are you giving 10%? That's my money. That's our money. Why? It's just going to create conflict. And yeah, I mean, like, it's just not wise.
Really, what I'm hearing is, there is no just like one person out there for you, because that's silly, but there's a standard.
Yeah. So the standard is, that's what we were getting at. The standard is, look, is it someone who knows Jesus? Is it someone who's pursuing God and all that kind of stuff? So, and then there's like that's like lowest rung of the ladder. When Jenny and I started dating, let's just be real honest. It almost always starts with attraction. There's an attraction physically. There's an attraction. The very first thing I noticed about Jenny was not the fruits of the spirit.
Her
While she's on the basketball court, I didn't even know her. I just saw her on the basketball court and I was like, she's pretty, and her hair is really pretty, and she had long hair, and I noticed all the physical. So yeah, so we shouldn't be stupid to pretend like that's not usually the first step. But this is why you don't need to jump right into dating people. What Jenny and I did for that first 6 months is we just hung out in groups. I just put myself and she put herself around. We put ourselves in positions to watch each other in group settings. The problem is when you jump so fast into let's start dating, now you've actually got relational dynamics that if it you don't even know anything about them. So if it goes
makes it more difficult. If it's not, you realize they're not the right person. It's
totally.
harder then to.
It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
As opposed to we just all hang out as friends, and now I know. And the things you're watching in those moments is you're watching how do they treat the servers at the restaurant, how do they treat the other women, the other girls who are in our friend group, how do they talk about their parents, how do they? I mean, these are all the kinds of things you're listening for and watching for, because that's where characters are revealed. And you've done all of that without any exclusivity in the relationship. So you can do all of that. You can date someone without them knowing it. And you probably should.
Yeah.
Sneaky
that's
dating.
good. Yeah.
I just came up with that.
Yeah,
I like
good.
that.
Remember that.
I'm gonna say it
Somebody needs to
again.
write that down.
You can date someone without
listen.
knowing it.
Someone's gonna listen.
Wow, that was interesting. You can date someone without knowing it. Anyone have any thoughts on what has been said so far?
There I go again. Okay. When he mentioned that, I guess he said, did he say it's silly to think that there's only one person out there for you?
Yes.
I agree and I disagree. I disagree because if you're going to marry one person and you both know that God has brought you both together, then that one person is for you. Now, let's just say your spouse passes away.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I'm going to take. I'm going to take Pastor Sean as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Sean was married for 25 years to his first wife, Deborah. So she was the one for him for those 25 years. And then when she passed away, the Lord brought another woman into his life,
Hmm.
and now they are married. So she is for him now.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's just me. That's just me. I do believe that God has someone for someone else, and that's the person that God has chosen for you or for him for that time.
Mm. That's good. That's good. Um, I think yes, I do believe that God can that he can pick someone for you. If but how much it's really similar to what you were saying, because if that person, if I go with the notion that God, has one person that he has in mind for a person, but then if that person is no longer not, there or something, then it's like, well, I guess it's over for you, because it's the notion that God had that one person, and if that person don't work out, then it's like it's just too late for you. That one person is gone or whatever with that one person. Um so I do believe that yes, that God, how he can uh, pick someone for you, but I also believe that um, I guess that's a good example. Like I'm thinking about like with Pastor Sean in that situation where he had his wife. Then after she had passed away and he was a widow, then he was just he was free to marry again if he so desired. And so he found his wife that he's married to now, and so yeah. So I guess it's the same what you were saying with that. Yeah. Oh, Millie, I'm sorry.
No, I was listening to you.
So what is your thinking on that? Do you have something different, or
Mm, I don't quite know how to answer the question.
yeah?
I really don't. Um,
I
because
mean,
yeah, God can have someone for us, but remember, um we have morality to choose
yes, we have.
that individual.
Mm-hmm.
Um and someone can say, with all of the temptations and that we have these days, and that falls on both sides,
Yeah.
men and women. I mean, the enemy is going to um attack both sides, and
Mm-hmm.
he's going to throw every kind of temptation. And marriage is okay. There goes my dog.
Hey, Chico.
Chico just got in the
No,
mix.
he's barking. Wow.
Chico got his thoughts.
Wait a
Let him
minute.
talk, Millie. Let him
Wait
talk.
Chico is wait. I just realized I've never heard him bark. Oh, remember, I not to get off track, but I had asked Millie once, "Does Chico bark?" And she said yes, because I never heard him bark.
That's if somebody is like in the laundry area.
Okay.
um I mean, I can't hear them, but their hearing is impeccable.
Okay.
So he just, he's playing, he's doing his duty,
Wow.
guarding Chico.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, but otherwise, no, he's not a barker. That's as much as you're gonna probably get. Um, because he is a 7-pound little chihuahua over here. but with a very big personality. Um, but the sweetest one I've ever seen or met for that matter. But getting back to the issue at hand, because we do have that morality, and yes, there are some people that, instead of working on their marriage, the easy thing to do is escape from it. And I've seen both sides where I know couples that have been married for 40 something years, others for 20 something years, and they get tired, but you have to learn how to, I think it was Dr. Tony Evans once say many years ago that you don't date to marry, you marry to date. And how true of a statement is that? Because life will throw every kind of challenge your way, that you're going to have to learn how to navigate those things without disrespecting one another. And so it's yes, God can give us that spouse that we pray for. And I've seen, where I'm living proof of that an individual can pray for that spouse and God will give them every single thing on that list that, they desired in a mate. Because of our humanity, however, we can turn those blessings into curses, where the marriage can be, can wind up in divorce. And again, it depends on the individual. You have to work on the relationship to keep that flame alive. Otherwise, if you take your eyes off or if you become lazy, anything is apt to happen. But yeah, marriage is not an easy thing. But it's not an impossible thing as long as you both keep your eyes on the Lord. That's my take.
Okay. Thank you, Millie.
Listen to this now and be like, we're dating. The person's gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
What?
That could be
Oh
fun.
gosh, yeah.
I was just
If
gonna say,
you're a
to you
weirdo,
saying-
you cannot hide behind that.
Don't use that.
Yeah.
To you saying like this idea of like there's this one person, I feel like wrapped up in that, even just that thought, is that there's this perfect person. There, we know there's no perfect person. There is not a perfect person for you. I don't believe in soulmates, because what if your spouse passes away and then you get married to somebody else? Like,
Yeah.
so there's not a perfect person. And if you're going into a relationship and you're seeking for the perfect person, someone you might not be saying this, but I think they're fix the problems that I have. They're gonna heal the wounds that I have. And that is all the wrong thinking. You're trying to use them to fill voids that only God can fill. And you're trying to replace them with God in your life. And that is really dangerous.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster. So I think the ways that that you're ready for dating tend to be, one of them is your relationship with God comes first before anything and everything else. Jesus said in Matthew, I think it's chapter 6, where he says to seek the kingdom of God above all else. Seek the kingdom of God above all else. Not seek to get married, not seek a boyfriend, not seek a girlfriend. Seek the kingdom of God. And then he says, he's talking about money in that situation, but the principle applies. And he says, and all these things will be given to you. It'll all fall in line.
Yeah.
Your intention and your desire and your.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask a quick question. Is anybody thinking that they're going to find the quote unquote perfect person? I don't think anybody's thinking that, right?
There is no perfect person.
Thank you.
doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Only
you know
the only one is Jesus, and that's it.
But you know what though? But you know what? I think some people, they may not say it, but I think the way some people act, they give off that, because we know there's no perfect person. We're not perfect. The other person is not perfect. And because it's such an overused thing. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. They're not perfect. But the way we sometimes can react and with people, it's almost like we give off that that vibe of perfectness. That's
And
kind of my thought.
I think that also happens with
You know,
like in the very early stages of any relationship, that you can see no wrong with this individual, but give it a couple of years when you try and kind of settle in, and you're going to see the flaws, you're going to see the shortcomings, you're going to see the attitudes, you're going to see everything, and that's when you have to learn, um that yeah, at one time you couldn't see no wrong in this individual, because they were like that perfect man or that perfect woman. Well, that's a facade, unfortunately, because there is no such thing. But just learning how to work things out together, where love has different stages. And um I have seen it in many couples, where you go through these horrific trials and storms, and they pull through together. There's a couple that I know in Florida, and gosh, they've been married for over 20 something years, and he went into an addiction, and he was out there for, I don't know the exact number of years, but she stood by his side and she prayed, and they're back together again. God is restoring the marriage. And so man, that takes a lot. um that's almost like standing by. I mean, look at even Shireen, look at Pastor Simbala's dad, and how he became an alcoholic, and he was in that, you know his mom didn't divorce him. She stood and she prayed, and so it's hard. It is what the marriage vow says: till death do you part, in sickness and health, and you could add everything else in there, in addiction or whatever. um it's not impossible, but unfortunately for many, they don't want to go through. um the easier way is, oh, let me start over with somebody else, and I don't have to face that difficulty with the, or some people might say, oh, they're never going to change. But I know God to be a God answering, a God answering God, who answers prayer, and there's nothing that he cannot do. The thing is the individual willing to do what it takes to see? I mean, we can't know, and scripture does say that. How do we know, oh wife, whether you will save your husband, and vice versa? How do you know, husband, whether you will save your wife? We don't know that. um so it's, I mean, Yeah, it's a difficult one, but there are no perfect people or spouses or children. The only perfect one is Christ. So yeah, it's but it's not impossible for God to, um do what he has to do in the individual as long as they're willing to work at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that there is nothing that is impossible that God can't. And I'm talking in a marriage context situation, if the two people are willing. But if one is not willing and the other one is, God is not going to override their will.
And that's the magic word,
That's
willing.
that's the thing. If two people are willing, I know of situations that it was like, wow. But at some point, something happened and one was willing. And so thus far they're still together. But yes, you if two people are willing, then there is nothing that they can't be able to overcome. But if one is not, then um, you can't force it. You can't
No.
make them. You can't, any of that. Just like God is not going to force us to stay with Him and to love Him and to want to, be, um, against our will. So I don't want to, and I think they're going to get a little bit more into that, into the red flags. So I want to go to another another
I'm
way.
sorry. I'm sorry. Before you go, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
No, Chris, you have anything to add there? We don't want to leave you out.
No, you're
Yes.
not. I'm just listening. Primarily just listening.
No, you can't listen, Chris. You gotta talk. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, trust me, I have plenty to say.
Okay, I'm only joking.
No, I know. Yeah, we all, as has already been said, we already know there's no perfect person, there's no perfect situation. But sometimes, I guess, some of us have overactive imaginations and we might want to create that too. Because life is very tough. It's tough. And, people are like, hey, I'm lonely here. And, they will go out and they'll try to find someone or just settle because they feel like they can't do any better. Or some people are just crazy in the head that, they'll make up something. And it's like, well, this is perfect for me, but there is no perfection there. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just my immediate thought because now I kind of, what we were talking about kind of went away from me, but that was my immediate thought on that. So, sorry.
Chris, can I ask you a question? I want to ask you a question really quick. Why do you think that for men, for the most part, and I know not everyone saying that every guy is like this, but why do you think that for men, when they see a red flag, they are more trying to think of the other word with that, to like let the relationship go? But for women, and I know you can't answer that for women because you're a guy. We can answer.
Yeah.
But for guys, it just seems like there is 90% of guys, if they see a red flag, they're like, nope, that's not the one. And maybe 5%, and this is me just kind of my thinking. 5% might stick around knowing that this person there's these red flags. And then for the woman, it's like we will see the red flags 90% of the time, and maybe about 5% of maybe women will be like, nope, I see this, I see these red flags, no. So would you say men, they tend to be quick, they don't like linger?
Well, there could be a variety of factors why some of us won't. Like me, there was a situation I was in with a specific person, and I wouldn't even quantify that as a relationship. I'd just say it was a fling or whatever, something that I actually entertained because of the season that I found myself in at that time. And that person was showing me red flags and I saw them. But I am only speaking for myself, not other men in this particular instance. I chose to ignore it, even though I saw what I saw. Being observant, I saw exactly what I saw, and I decided to entertain it anyway because I was feeling lonely. I was seeking someone to communicate with, because at the time I was still taking care of my dad then at that time. So things were a little different. My frame of, communication and how I interacted had changed quite a bit. And so I chose to stick around. Now, I didn't have low standards because maybe going back to those other men, they might have higher standards. Or maybe they were in other situations too that they were hurt, because you can't disqualify that as well. Because people get, we could get into situations, and to protect ourselves, we'll say, no, I'm cutting the cord. I'm hitting the eject button early because I don't want to be hurt like this. And sometimes it only takes one person to mess it up for everybody else that comes after. But I would think, there's probably a lot of factors that differ from guy to guy, but I would say primarily that might be one of them, just standards, trying to protect themselves from being hurt. Self-respect is definitely a huge one. But some people stick around and deal with a lot of disrespect as well. And probably the high one too is, their relationship with God, I would think would be high on that point too. Because some people don't need to be in a relationship. Some people, having God is enough. And really, he is enough. But some people feel like, I need this other person to complete me. And it shouldn't just be that way. I mean, that person's there to help them along in the journey, but not to be an idol. So that's just what I think of it. That's my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Chris. Oh, Shireen, yes, take.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's great. I thought all your answers were great, but it's so nice to hear from a gentleman's point of view. And for Chris, he was sharing his heart and his experience. And no, I'm not a man, but sometimes having male friends can kind of give you an understanding as to why they do what they do. And so I just think maybe for other men, when they see a red flag and they're out from the get-go, I think because, men, first of all, they want to be respected, and men want to have peace in their lives. And so any red flags start popping up where they're being disrespected and that their peace is being disrupted, they're like, nope, I'm out. So
I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot to mention that. That's chief. Again, I'm speaking for me and for a lot of guys. Like, if women had an attitude too, if a woman has a bad attitude, nope. I think across the board for us men, across the board, that's an automatic nope, cutting the cord, not dealing with that. Because that's that Jezebel spirit. Nobody wants to deal with that. Or if you're a nagging woman.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I gotta thank you, Serene, because you helped activate that too in my mind, because I'm like, wait a minute, I might be forgetting something here. So thank you, sis.
No, because it also reminded me of my Louis, my fiance, when he was alive. I know that was the type of man he was as well. He definitely wouldn't, like, if I was someone who was, a nagger, like Chris said, and I disrespected him, and, if I was like a loud mouth or anything like that, yeah, I think Louis would have left me from the very moment that he met me. So it was like, no, and he was very much into being not just respected by me, but other people. But yes, just from having a male friend, or just from even having a fiance, just seeing that men are, yeah, that's how they're wired. You disrespect them, you mouth off to them, it's like, nope, sayonara.
Exactly.
Literally treat others how you want to be treated.
Right.
Very succinct.
Amen. Amen.
I was just thinking, I was like, maybe that's why sometimes when you have the dynamics of a female and male friendship, why sometimes they tend to really work well, because it's not the drama that can be there. Like a lot of times with with your female friends, it's like how it's just different. And sometimes some of the things that maybe, let's say, how you might react or respond to your female friend, how with a male, it just goes over their head because they're not so, they're just like, huh? Whereas with a female, you catch every little thing, like you were snippy or you were this or just whatever. Just a thought. I was just, yeah, thinking.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome. No, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. So I guess
Your objective is to pursue Jesus with your life. And one of the things that I've recommended to single people before who are interested in dating is you fix your eyes on Jesus, and you sprint after him. And every now and then look around and see who's keeping up with you, because they're probably date worthy.
Yep.
They might be date worthy. But if you fix your eyes on who's date worthy,
Yeah.
you get your eyes off the wrong target.
The amount of times I've heard somebody say that I found my spouse when I wasn't looking because of that, because I was just following Jesus. I was just seeking him, and then he aligned it all. He made it all happen. But when you're looking, that's when you're getting too caught up in it. And you're getting distracted.
Yeah. almost like you're just trying too hard even too.
Yeah.
Let's get real clear. You talked about revealing character. And so that's really all green and red flags are. It's like, hey, this is revealing somebody's character. And so let's get real specific. What are some green flags we should be looking for in a dating relationship?
I think number one, and again, I'm assuming if you're a follower of Jesus and you want to live as a follower of Jesus, so I'm talking in that way. What you're looking for is spiritual hunger in the person, spiritual initiative in the person. That's number one. And so what does that mean? Does that mean they have to be a pastor? Does that mean they have to be? No, absolutely not. What it means though is, do they pray with you? Do they ask? Do they share with you the other person? Do they share with you things that God's teaching them? Do they? And again, you can just be simple stuff. I just mean they're taking initiative.
Do they prioritize church? Do they prioritize godly
Yes.
community? Do they seek godly counsel?
Yes.
Are they doing those things? Is that obvious in their
And
life?
some people listen to this are like, well, that person's not out there. They are out there.
Yep.
They are out there. And I'm not talking about perfect, because I just more mean it's the pattern of their character.
Yeah.
And so what's the pattern of their character? But if I tell my kids this all the time, man. I've told Sienna, I don't know how many, Sienna's my oldest. I don't know how many times I've told her, people will tell you who they are, so listen. And we try to, and that's where it's like, well, but they're nice and they're a good person. And it's like, okay, well, they don't ever ask to pray with me, but they're nice. It's like, okay, but nice is not the top rung of the ladder. That's the bottom. So
nice might not make you want to be more like Jesus.
No,
Like
nice is permission to play.
Yeah.
Nice is, and so don't make the things that are like, they're kind, they're like, they're responsible, honoring. Girls, I'm going to talk to girls real quick. You need to find a man, and if you're interested in dating, you're looking for, you don't need to, but you're looking for a man who's responsible. They take ownership for their life, right? They go out and they work hard. And they take pride in the work that they do. They follow through on their commitments. When they say they're going to do something, they do it, right? They honor everyone. They honor women. They take care of themselves, and they treat you and they treat other women like they are daughters of the king, right? These are the kinds of, that's the front door. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Then it's like everything else, there's chemistry and there's all that other stuff that's on top of that. But that's like, we're not even entertaining it if that doesn't happen. That's not the end goal. That's like the front door into the room, if that makes sense.
Any other green flags? Anything come to mind for you, Caroline?
So one of the things that I noticed about Nick early on in the not dating yet, but just like observing the dating he didn't know.
You were dating and he didn't know.
Yeah.
Recon.
Was
Recon.
I love it. Was just how he talked about people. Like Nick, I mean, he's imperfect, so he's obviously gossiped before, but he rarely, like, just the way he honors people with his words. And I noticed that about him right away. And to me, that was a fruit of the spirit. To me, that was him caring about what God calls us to let the words of our mouth be uplifting and encouraging. And that really mattered to me. And so you said this earlier, but watch how they talk about people. Because if they're constantly gossiping about other people, if they're putting people down, they're going to do that about you behind closed doors. If they're constantly doing that and you get married to them, it's going to rub off on you. You're going to become like that too. And for me, I would say I have grown more in the way I honor people because of Nick, because he is so amazing at that. And so I would say definitely watch how they talk about people.
The other, you mentioned fruits of the spirit. That's an awesome, I think, actually.
Chris, were you going to say something?
Oh, I might have unmuted myself by accident. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I just, that was real. I really liked what he said about how we can say, oh, that person is nice, oh, he's whatnot, but just the other things, like was mentioning, will he pray with me? Will he what was some of the other things he mentioned? Does this person make me more want to follow Jesus? And I can't remember the other things that was mentioned, but um wow, I thought that was really good. Um what do you all think? Okay. Well, um they're talking about some green. Oh,
No, I don't have anything to say. I was just laughing.
oh, you was just laughing. Okay. Okay. So they are jumping to some green flags. And I was looking at, and just like a green flag is like healthy signs. And oh, Shireen, yes.
No, I was just gonna. Oh, is this the video you said they only talked about red and green flags, right? No yellow flags.
N- Now, I don't know because I didn't get to watch the whole entire video.
Okay.
So it's like they went from red to green. And if they don't, then of course, and you know what's so interesting? I was telling someone, I said, you have red flags and then, you have green flags, but you don't hardly hear people talk about the yellow flag, which is, I think, the one that most people overlook because red flags, okay, I'll just go with this notion. Most people would be like, they're kind of cut dry for the most part. Then you got the green flag where it's like, oh, it's whatever it is for you as a person, like, oh yeah, that's good to go. But it's like people ignore the yellow flag. And actually, that might be, I'm thinking, the most important one because that one is like, it's an in between type of thing. It's like because in that part, I think what it could be showing is that you need to slow down and ask questions and pray and seek counsel. And how many people want to do that? We sometimes feel like maybe I don't want to ask the questions. I don't want to this. I don't want to that. Why? This is your life that we're talking about. Why are we afraid to ask the questions? Why? If they don't like it, if they pull away, then why are we pursuing that or allowing ourselves to be pursued if we can't ask questions? If a person is upset or they don't like that we're asking questions, something that should be some caution there. Like, why? And then of course, yeah.
I mean, if anybody doesn't want to, that yellow, just like a yellow light, um, when you're driving, it's telling you caution, be careful. Um, you know, um, for anything to be successful, there has to be transparency. And if there, if it would make you probably want to question, okay, what are they not saying? What are they trying to hide? Because in order for any successful relationship, you have to be transparent and you have to have open communication, regardless of how difficult the topic may be. That's what's going to make a successful relationship, whether it's marriage, whether it's any kind of relationship, husband, wife, brother, sister, sister, or whatever. So that yellow light, caution, if somebody is not being transparent, for me, that would really say, okay, well, why don't they? And some people may be very shy and they don't want to talk, but For any relationship to be successful, you need to be transparent. You need to be honest with one another, and that is key. So yeah, if you see somebody that doesn't want to do those things, then that would be like that caution light. Be careful how you proceed.
Yeah, don't be like me with the yellow light. Well, you see the yellow light? What do you normally do? You speed up. We supposed to
No,
slow
you're
down.
supposed to slow down. Oh my
We're
god.
supposed to slow down when we see the yellow light, but what do? We just speed up so that we don't have to stop at the red light. You see that? It's a caution light.
It's a caution.
Because the red light is coming up so that you have to stop. But see, some of those yellow flags, it's there so that you have to stop so that you'll see those red flags.
Right.
Right. And Millie, I will say this is my little thing. It's not I don't think it's so much and this is for me, of transparency. Like some people feel like you have to just tell everything, you know, about yourself, about your past. And I say it depends. But but this is what I mean. In the yellow part is it means caution, just like what it means, just like how
Whoa.
we have green, we have yellow, and we have um um red, green, and yellow. And sometimes when it's yellow, it don't necessarily mean you have to stop. Sometimes you do, because other people on the other side, they are, so you need to, so you have to wait. Sometimes, it just depends, but it's letting you, okay, when it's red light, it's a clean cut stop. And if you actually go through one, you're breaking the law. And so it's a straight red. It's stop. It don't matter when it's red. It's like, I don't care if it means stop. Then I'll go with the green light. Green light, you can go.
Yep.
It's thumbs up. It's like, hey, you are good to go. But yellow is like that, it's not necessarily stop. It is not necessarily go.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to, like, okay, it's basically like slow down. Because
Yes.
when you see the yellow light coming, sometimes I slow down, sometimes I speed past it. But
Just like Shireen, huh?
yes. And
With her left foot, it's proceed with caution.
it's
That's what the yellow
proceed,
is.
it's proceed with
Yeah.
caution. Exactly, Chris. And I think what happens with women sometimes, I don't think, and you can please speak to this for men, we don't ask questions, and we just keep letting it go on and go on. And then we find ourselves in a situation. And why, if we do ask, that's the time to ask. You don't wait till after you've gotten married, or wait till, I don't know, ask. It's your life. Ask those questions that are important to you. And I don't know. I mean, if I, let me ask you this, Chris. If a woman, it's this a lady and it's you, would you get annoyed if she was asking you questions, or would that be? I mean, what would be your thought to that? I don't know. I just think even if the other person got annoyed, then they just got annoyed, and maybe they just have to go, because it's your life that you are considering linking up with somebody else. And if they have a problem with you asking, and this is what I mean by that. They don't, now you can ask, that doesn't mean they have to tell you. And if they don't want to tell you, or if they don't want to, then that's they you know, they have that liberty. But you just take note. And if that question is something that you really need to have an answer to, and if they don't want to, you know, tell it, then you weigh that. But I don't think that that you shouldn't, you know, ask questions with someone that you are dating or considering, because I think I like what Rosalind said. What did she say? She said, yes, I wish I had done that. Look for the yellow flag. So what is your thought, Chris, as a guy?
Again, I wouldn't mind being asked certain questions. Just for me, it depends on the question. It depends on, like, for some, maybe the tone in which they ask it.
Mhm.
But I'd be open and honest and upfront. Like, hey, you know, because I really don't have anything to hide. You know, so then I've noticed in the past, again, with situations I was involved with certain women, I would, you know, certain conversations would come up, like primarily, you know, hey, I said this is what I would like for myself. Like, I like to be married one of these days, and I like to have kids. The minute I mentioned that, it's just like what that person wanted. It seemed like all they wanted was just to have a good time, a friend with benefits type deal. And that's not what I felt I was looking for at that time. And, you know, they just flip the script real quick. And then they get ghost very fast. So that's just part of my experience. But, you know, the experience is going to vary from guy to guy. But that's just my experience with it. But I would answer honestly, and I wouldn't lie and say that depending on what the question was or subsequent questions, I can't say that I might not get slightly annoyed myself. It just depends on what's being asked and where I'm at mentally in that moment. But I don't get mad off the handle, just, you know, it just depends.
Okay. Anthony, at the Scattered Sheep podcast. So another guy, can I ask you a question? So
That's my brother.
that's Cherie's brother, Anthony.
That's what's up.
So
Yeah, we have the same last name. I always say that. I'm sorry. I always say he's my brother because we have the same last name.
So you as a guy, Anthony, for you with the red flags, we're talking about the different flags, red, green, and yellow, and how these flags, they, in these colors, they have, you know, like what do they mean to you, or what are their meanings? And we know red is like, you know, stop, don't go, and then yellow, caution, and then green is good to go. And we're referring to this in relationship. And one of the things that we had also was like with, for men, it seems like when they see a red flag, they're like, they just cut it off and just stop it. But then with the women, we tend to keep lingering. And we also just kind of was thinking like, wow, we hear about the red flag, green flag, mostly red flag, but we don't really hear about the yellow flag, the caution one. What is your thoughts on this? And of course, if you want to come up, we can send you the link and you can join with us. So I will continue with the video.
If people take the exercise out of this, that could be a really good exercise. Just go look at the fruits of the spirit in Galatians chapter 5: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. And it's like, okay, are those evident? Not perfectly, but are there patterns of evidence? The other thing I was going to say with all this is, when Jenny and I were dating, you really are looking for a character, not. I want to keep stressing this because some of what we're talking about almost sounds like that perfect. We're describing like this perfect person. We're not. When Jenny and I were dating, it came to the point where I knew enough about her character to where I knew she loved God. She was seeking His kingdom. She was humble, and she wanted Jesus. I mean, like, that's enough. And why I say that is because she's not perfect. But if she's humble, she'll admit it when she's not.
Yep.
And I'd seen enough of that.
And if she's humble, her heart is soft to God, convicting her and changing her.
That's my point. Is if that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
It's not if you're gonna not mess up or no. And by the way, I mean, like I've made a mess of things in our relationship certainly more than she ever has. But I always knew I would come back. And like that's what she was looking for in me too. Like, does he say sorry? Does he come back? So that's what we're talking about. It's it's not perfection. You're not looking for, someone who's like, oh, they never sin. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Spirit. We're talking about humility. We're talking about, they just remind you of the kind of person who's being made more and more to the image of Jesus Christ. You can work with that. You can work with that.
So what I'm hearing is like, hey, not perfection, and then qualities that obviously are the fruits of the Spirit, but qualities that God can work with to continue to transform that person to His likeness, and also help you as their spouse hopefully be transformed by them too.
Yeah, because the meaning of marriage, going back to that, is not your personal happiness and fulfillment. That is 100% a cultural. That's definitely a cultural idea of marriage, which is why people get out, because they're not, quote unquote, happy anymore. That's fine. That's a cultural vision of marriage. That's really lame and very shallow. The biblical vision of marriage is so much more rich in depth. The biblical vision of marriage is that we get married to pursue Christ's holiness. That's what it says in Ephesians chapter 5 or chapter 6. Where's the marriage? You guys remember? I think it's chapter 5. And we are holy. And so that means there's friction. There is repentance. There is saying so. And that's the work of it. That's the work of it, is I have to give up of myself in order to be more fully aligned with Jenny at times. Like that's the work of it. I have to humble myself and all that. That's the meaning of marriage. Is for Christ to do a work in me. So
like people give up because it's hard. It doesn't feel good. For like marriage will reveal. It will reveal your sin. It will reveal your selfishness. It will reveal all those things. And so, but that's the point. Like God's using your marriage to make you more like Him, and that's sanctification. And that's, again, what you just said, like that's He's making you more holy. And so that's the whole point.
That's the
point.
He's
doing that because He wants to use you for His kingdom purposes. If that's not happening, you be used when you're not being sanctified, when you're not growing and being closer to Him. It's the whole point.
Let's do the inverse of that now. So we talked about some green flags, red flags. Hey, stop, evaluate.
I'd say one thing is if they're crossing your boundaries that you've set up, and we could talk about that in a bunch of different ways, but just physical boundaries that if you've made those clear, which you should, and hopefully you have, I would say to girls, if a guy is constantly ignoring those boundaries and crossing those boundaries, then he's being selfish, and he's putting himself before you and before God and the way that God calls us to live. And so he's probably not ready to be in a relationship. And then guys, if a girl is constantly throwing herself at you sexually, she's likely trying to fill a void that only God can fill. And there's a lot of insecurity there. And there's probably a lot there. And again, she's not ready to be in a relationship. So pay attention to those things. And hopefully you can have a conversation where you are both on the same page. And then I'm not saying you might not slip up and you might not fail, because it's probably going to happen. But then it's okay, what are we going to do? What things are we going to set in place so that we don't continue to fail? Who are we going to take this to so we have accountability and all of that?
The thing about, sexuality and dating and why that is important at the end of the day, and I know this is not a podcast on sex, on a biblical ethic of sex, but it does play in here. The only relationship, maybe I say this, the only container strong enough to hold the power of sexual intimacy, which it doesn't matter how hard we try to casualize, to make up a word, sex. You can't. I mean, like we've tried way in our culture, and there's still people who, we write, Shakespeare's writing, sex gets involved and Shakespeare's got plays about people dying because of jealousy. Like men still go into jealous rages when there's why? Because sex is powerful, and the only container strong enough to hold it is a covenant, committed relationship between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, in the context of marriage, where you have exclusively promised each other, no matter what comes our way, the one thing that will be rest assured is we will be here for each other tomorrow.
Yep.
That's safety and security.
Yep.
Okay. So when a guy wants to have sex with you and doesn't, and outside of that, what he's saying is, I love you, just not enough. I love you, just not enough to commit to you.
Wow.
That's not love. You're worth more than that. You're worth a guy giving his life for. You're worth a dude laying down his life for. So
that's biblical. That's what it says.
And that's
Bible.
Literally what your heavenly Father has for you, Christ. Yeah. So, and same with guys. Like, no, I mean, even there, it's like doesn't work just that way. So, that's what is being said there, and that's why that matters. And so, to me, that is a red flag.
Yeah.
Beyond the sexual ethic, just of it's saying. And can you imagine this, guys? I mean, like, if you have someone in your life that is willing to wait, to say to you, I'm not going to use your body, and I'm not going to ask for the commitment physically from you until we have also committed to each other economically, socially, emotionally, legally, all right, that you do in a covenant of marriage, right? Then let's also commit to each other physically. That is a dude and that is a girl who you can probably trust them. Like, in the sense of like, they've been willing because they want to.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're human. But they're willing to lay that aside and to honor you.
Yep.
Because you're a daughter of the king. Because you're a son.
Relationship, there's so much revealed, and that's love. That's sacrifice.
So we talked about boundaries, sex. That's a big one. Any smaller red flags that'd be helpful?
I mean, you could probably just go back all the green flags and just say the opposite.
The opposite. Yeah.
The opposites of the fruit of the spirit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or at the same time, let's just be practical. I don't know if it's a red flag, but maybe it is. Certainly yellow flag. Like, there's no spiritual hunger. They never take initiative. I mean, I'm talking about anything. They don't even say, when do you want to go to church? I mean, like, I'm saying something that simple.
I feel like watch that too, though, because I feel like you can see a tiny little something, like they come to church with their family on the weekends, and then you like take that and run with it. And it's like, oh, well, I can tell that in the relationship, I would be the spiritual leader, but I can change them. I can make them become the spiritual.
Oh, man.
Like, so just watch that. Like, who are you to think that you can change them? And you don't want that.
You just opened up a really good sort of angle to this. And it's just kind of helped give me actually some clarity on a red flag. When Jenny and I, we were actually at the point of being engaged. Okay. So we had been dating for, I don't know how long, 18 months, a year and a half. And we had this moment where we were hitting some struggles. That's a good thing to do, by the way, like to hit some struggles while you're still dating. People are like, I know some people are like, we never fought. And I'm like,
red flag.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's one couple
somebody's
that
stuffing
said that.
something.
They got divorced. I remember they were divorced 2 years in. And it's like, well, anyways,
Yeah.
that's another story. So there's this moment though with Jenny where she was dealing with something and I was dealing with something. And what I kept trying to do was change her. I wouldn't have said it like that because I'm way more spiritual than.
Okay, I wanted to stop it there because I was like, yay, they mentioned a yellow flag a little bit, but it makes me think about there was something Pastor Sean had mentioned when with his first wife, and I want to say she did, she's deceased, so he had became a widow. So, but with first wife, I remember him telling us how he had went to counseling or went to it was something to another couple's house, and how they never argued, never any of that. And then sadly come to find out, and he actually thought that something was wrong with them because they did have arguments. And I think he said they might have been had one on the way there, but sadly come to find out that they no longer were together anymore. So it just made me think about that, how a lot of times when it's like, wow, I've never seen him or her upset, I've never this, I've never that, and because we see that, it's like that could make us like, oh, but thank God if you've seen those things, because nobody you're fooling yourself if you think that you're like never going to get upset, never going to maybe experience the different things that as humans we do experience. And as much as possible, if you experience something, it's like, okay, wow, so that's how they react when they are angry. Excuse me, that's how they react when they are whatever we can put there. And that's good because you want to see that. Because if you marry that person and you start doing life together with that person, you're going to experience that and some. So I thought that was I just wanted to pinpoint that.
Can I say something real quick? He had mentioned about, I guess when someone, two people have found each other, when he mentioned about if he is willing to wait for you, as in coming together intimately, if he's willing to wait, again, maybe it's just me, but isn't that what we are supposed to do as believers? That, to me, that should not be a question. That should not be a question that you should have to ask. But unfortunately, I have heard professing Christians say how they're not waiting until marriage to be intimate. And I'm like, what has happened? What has happened to us as believers? Again, this is maybe I'm too naive or something, but I'm like, intimacy should not be a question that you should have to ask the person that you're going to marry. Oh, should we abstain or should we? That shouldn't even be a question, because we know that's something we are not supposed to partake of, for lack of a better way of saying it, until you are married. Why should that even be a question? But again, that's just me.
Oh, no, sis, no, that was very, very good. And I think that's once again, I think that's part of, I don't know if that is a woman's thing. It's kind of almost like, I'm thinking like what you're saying, that's supposed to be there. that's not like this big like a big honor thing that, oh, you know, he waited for me, or he didn't pressure me, or he didn't. Well, that he should be like that anyways. Kind of almost like giving kudos to a parent that is parenting. It's like, well,
Right.
you know, I mean, if you are a parent, you supposed to parent. So it's no extra. I mean, I mean, yes, we honor, parents and do all that, but I'm just saying, it's like there shouldn't be no extra points because he waited, till marriage. Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. And so it's no extra bonus points for something. Yeah. Yeah. No, that was good. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes.
On that. I would have said I'm trying to help her, I'm trying to support her, I'm trying to whatever, but it wasn't that. Like now, in hindsight, I can look back on it. My insecurities, and it was my honestly, like, control. It's my control is typically rooted in fear, and so I was afraid she's going to do not going. So I kept trying to control her. And there's this moment that happened in our engagement where I remember I went to Florida, where my parents were living at the time, and I remember thinking, I was like, I need to decide: am I willing to marry Jenny today?
Yep.
Or am I saying I want to marry who I hope she'll become?
Yeah.
And if I'm like, I want to marry who I hope she'll become, that's not fair to her.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
And I'm setting myself up for all sorts of misery
Mhm.
because there's no guarantee. The only thing I'm guaranteed is the only thing you're guaranteed is the person, again, they are who they are.
Yep.
And she had to decide the same for me.
Mhm.
Oh, I just had to stop there. I thought that was really good. I thought that was really, really good, that marrying the person of who they are right there and then. And if that person if there is something that you're thinking like, well, if they could this, or it could be that, it could be whatever the case may be, what I'm gathering, what he's saying, and I'm like, wow, then you don't need to do it. If not at that moment, if that person asks you to marry them and you're like, ooh, but I just want, that to change, or I just want that, then from what I'm gathering, what he's saying, you don't need to do it, because there is not a guarantee that they're going to change. And then, let's say if it's a woman doing all these different tactics and trying to this, that, to get them to change. And they're, that's, yeah, I could see that. And vice versa, um, if there's a woman and you're like, wow, let's say if I get with her, I could fatten her up. Like, I'll just say that, or, ooh, I could get her and get her into the gym and she can lose this kind of weight, or she could, start wearing whatever it is. If you're not okay with what that person is right then and there, then what I'm gathering and what, is that then don't do it, because it's not fair to each other, to the other person, like they're a project now, if then yeah, I'll just leave it there. I thought that was really good. What was you going to say, Chris?
No, just I would say the main thing that's going to take a hit is someone's expectations. You expect this person to be this, you expect that person to be that. They're having the same expectations of you. And I find the biggest hurts I've had is expected people to, respond or reciprocate love or whatever the case may be the same way I give it out. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. So that was just my thought. Like, when it's not fair to the other person, like you said.
That's so good, Chris. That's bingo, target. And what he just said, and what you and Latanya both said too. Here we go again, right, Latanya? It reminds me of something else Pastor Sean said. When Pastor Sean would counsel engaged couples, he would always ask them, give them this exercise to like write down 10 things that you hate about the person. He says, yes, I tell them, write down 10 things you hate about them. And he says, and he would ask them, do you think you can live with this person with these 10 things you hate? And there was a particular couple he was counseling, and he asked the lady, could she live with him? I think it was one of them was the gaming. He would do a lot of gaming, and she hated that he, played so many games and didn't spend enough time with her. And so her expectation, was like, can you stay with him the way that he is now? And you know what? She couldn't. And she didn't get married to him. So when he said that too, and what you both said, it just reminded me of, the counseling that Pastor Sean would do. And it's like, if you cannot be with the person the way that they are now, then it's probably best that that's your red flag. So don't move forward in that relationship.
That's good advice.
Yes.
And just another quick point. I mean, if she's going to die on that hill just because the brother liked to game, what they don't realize is like gaming is a stress reliever. Like I know because I used to do it. Keyword used to. But again, what's good for one person ain't going to be good for the next. But there's women that do it too. So it's like, okay, if you're going to not proceed to go forward, that was her choice. But, there's many other hills to die on, not just die on that one specifically. But, that's neither here nor there. That's like, oh, I'm not going to marry this woman because she likes to watch soap operas all day. It seems kind of silly in the broader scheme of things, but I guess, if that's going to be the thing that deters you and say, I can't live with this, I guess, you're going to have to live with that decision, I guess. So.
I believe the whole issue, though, with that is if you're doing gaming or watching soap operas, and that's your main focus apart from the person you're in a relationship in, that can be a problem because you're focusing your attention on playing these games. There's a place for everything, right? There's a place for everything. And not to say that you can't play games. Well, I like what Latanya put. I play games. I play a game on my phone, but listen, I'm single. I don't have to. I don't have to
balance.
Right, exactly. But I think because this couple, he spent just the majority of his time playing games when he should be spending his time with her. So, it's like you can't be watching soap operas all day.
No, I just use that as an example because that's what there's plenty of other examples that you can point to, but yeah, I don't want to leave that out. Like I'm not justifying that it's good for that brother to spend all his free time. I can see if he were spending that time with her too, then it shouldn't be an issue. But
Yeah,
if
that's
that's
great.
the main thing that he's doing, and yeah, that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like I said, not that you can't play your games, but the focus was more on playing games than devoting time to spend with her. So if he's doing that when they're single, he's definitely going to do that when they're married, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was that is such a good point, and that to me, that's I think a perfect example of holding up the yellow flag and saying caution. So you need to get more clarity on that, such as, okay, um if he's single, is that, like you mentioned, Chris, how it's a stress reliever. So, you need to ask questions like, oh, okay, how often do you play games? Or maybe if you're dating and he's like, oh, I'll call you back. I just gotta finish this, I'm on this game, or it's hours, or you go over and it's like, oh, I want to play this game, that's the caution. That would be one of those caution, I think, to
Mhm.
find out, ask some more questions about this, or observe it, because once again, if that is something that he's doing, and if he is and that is ignored, and you ignore that caution there, then yeah, true. If you get married and move forward with that person, and they are always on the game and not really, it's like, well, it's like, well, I mean, yeah, I get it. It's like, well, but we're married now, they need to grow up. They need to realize that they have a family, or well, that's why maybe it should have been something, because this isn't a secret. It's like, okay, if they were doing it beforehand, and to just think they're going to change, I mean, to think that they're going to turn a switch because they just get married. Well, we see that in marriage itself. If a person was a chronic cheater, and then, I don't know, okay, now we're talking about yes. I'll just say this. A lot of times we might think that if we get married, that some people do think that they'll stop that, or they won't do that, and we know that's not true from just things that we've seen in just different life situations, that don't necessarily mean that that things are going to change. But I think that would be I think that is a good example of yellow caution, about the gaming thing, because, yeah. Okay. Well, this is almost finished, so I will finish. Just a little bit left.
And so this is a red flag. If there are things about this person that are so fundamental, it's like, I want to, and you're sitting there convincing yourself, well, I want to keep dating them because I believe in who they'll become.
Mhm.
That's fine. I love that you're optimistic. You can't marry them for that reason, because you are setting yourself up for bitterness, because there's no guarantee you will ever become that person. And then you'll be the one resentful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to decide, am I willing to marry them with their flaws and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Don't
That's
fall in love with the idealized version of the person.
No,
Yeah.
it's not fair to them.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not actually love. I mean, love is I accept them as they are and
Mhm.
love the fullness of who they and flaws and all, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Or I don't, and call it what it is. And
Which is interesting, because that's how Jesus loves us. He loves us for our flaws. He doesn't lead us where he he finds us, but it's not him demanding. It's through the context of a relationship that actually our exposure to who he is, getting to know him more, changes us.
Yeah.
When we're ready for it.
Yes.
And so we learned a lot today. Maybe it starts with simply just acknowledging where you're at, defining reality, being honest with yourself. Am I dating this person simply because I'm bored, or because it makes me feel good, or because they're actually a good person and they could be right for me? Maybe it starts with pushing aside the cultural narrative of searching for the one, or that singleness is a bad thing, and simply acknowledging that you were created to expand God's kingdom, to join him in his work. There's sometimes done in the context of marriage and sometimes done in singleness. Or maybe it's time to do an audit of yourself or the person that you're with. Hey, do I or does that person show fruits of the Spirit? Are they kind? Are they gentle? Are they patient? Or are there actually red flags? This person cruising over the boundaries that I've set, even though I've clearly told them over and over again that this is not a place that I'm willing to go. And so we hope that this conversation has been helpful for you, even if it's been a little bit uncomfortable. If you found value out of this, send this to somebody in your life. And like we say here, now that your life changed by Christ, go and live changed.
Nice video.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. You know, I'm trying to remember. I like the saying he said, now that your life has been changed by God, now go change. Be, live in change. I like that. I like that little saying. Oh, good night, Rosalind.
Night, Rosalind.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good video.
Yeah.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah, especially being that I kind of found it on the fly. I was like, oh, nope, not that one. No, not that. And I was like, yes, that one. I think that one is a good one. So
that was good. Oh, that was quote unquote perfect.
Nothing by coincidence, guys. Divine. That was divine. No coincidences.
That's right.
Yes. So we talked about green, red flag, yellow, and green. Yellow is like that in between, and it's so interesting because it's so like that at a stoplight: red, yellow, and then green. And so, wow, I guess does anyone have any on any of these three wonderful colors, flags?
There was a video that I was watching, and she was just talking about all the yellow flags. I found one thing she said kind of funny. She said, here's another yellow flag. She says, when a man does not cook for himself and he eats out all the time. I'm like, why is that a yellow flag? Maybe he cannot cook, or it's just easier for him to just buy food. I mean, I know women that do that too. Why is that a yellow flag? I don't know.
Or the man can cook, and it's just very convenient because he has a lot of other things going on at that particular time in his life that he might not be able to, and possibly in a living situation that is not ideal for him in that moment in time, that he, chooses to go that route. Now, he would prefer to cook, but because of the season he finds himself in, that just seems to be the better option in that moment in time. Again, only speaking for myself, though. I am that person, so I'm speaking for myself. And full transparency.
But that's great. That is, I think you need to answer that lady on the video. Because when I heard that, I was like, how is that any colored flag? I mean, maybe I can understand. Maybe she's thinking, because I forgot what she said why, but maybe her thought is, well, if he doesn't cook and he gets married, he's going to expect his wife to cook for him. But I don't know. Again, sometimes when you have male friends and, if they don't cook or whatever, it's because either they can't cook or, like Chris said, maybe they're just in a season in their life where they just can't do it right now. And, life doesn't afford them to do it at the moment. But I don't see that as a yellow flag. Nah.
Nah.
I don't think it's any flag. It's just,
I know, right? It's just, I've shared this before, but my sister, like her, the way they like, I think kind of a good example. He doesn't like to wash dishes at all. Not saying that he hasn't, but this is a trade-off. He cooks. He went to school for that, and he is a excellent cook. And when he cooks, I mean, oh my gosh, and he uses all the pots and pans, and I mean, he can cook, and but he doesn't like doing dishes, so she does the dishes and he cooks. And she cooks too. I mean, she does do, cooking. And it's not that he's never washed dishes, but that's kind of like their trade-off. And so it's like if somebody knew that, or maybe like, oh, he don't cook, blah, 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 but it works for them. And that's what they do. And so I was gonna also say, with the different like flags, if all you want, okay, let's see. What is this? If y'all wanted to know a man that use red flags on purpose to get relationships, I am that guy. Yes, I use
wow.
What?
Oh, wow. Strategy, what? I'm sorry. Oh.
Okay. Okay, I kind of got thrown off.
That'll do it. When you throwing out red flags like
that. Work, okay.
Oh.
Okay. Now, so as I was saying, I'm not on. I thought I was on mute. So as I was saying, the different flags, the different ones, what one person, for them, it may be like, oh no, I couldn't put up with that. And I think that's very, we all know that we're all different of what we like and etc. Now I'm not saying that in the sense that there are some very obvious ones, like one that I just think about, like if he's hitting you or if you are hitting the guy, that there's no way to get around that. There's just certain things that you just can't get around. That is a red flag every day. That doesn't change. But so I hope that, I guess what I would say with this is that these different red, green, and yellow, I would just say that more so in the yellow part, the caution part, because if there is something that's in the red, for the most part, most people will just like, no. And then in the green part where it's like, oh wow, all these great things, but don't ignore the yellow. Just kind of that middle ground. And what does this person say? Serious, I have been using red flag before it works. I do not physical hit, but toxic behaviors on what? Mm-mm.
That doesn't sound good at all.
No, that's not. I don't. That's not Christ-like. But I don't know this gentleman. I don't know if he's a believer. So no.
It's hard to tell tone through text, but that doesn't sound like it's positive at all.
Mm-mm.
No, that wouldn't sound like what a man following Christ would say. So that's like, yeah, no.
No.
Well, that could be a teachable moment for him. Brother, I
It
hope that you
is
are
tough.
following Christ, bro. If not, gotta find him. He's there. Don't reject the free gift of salvation that he offers. But I hope you're not trolling on this, because this is not a funny topic to be doing that on. Just my 2 cents as a man to man.
Thank you, Chris. No,
Yeah, that needed to be said.
no, thank you. Because this is a serious topic. It really is. And lightheartedness and laughter and all of that. Because just like I want to go back to this, just like how you have the red sign, the red light, the green light, and the yellow light, if you violate those lights, serious stuff can happen. Let's just think about this for a second. Red light means to stop. It's a reason for stopping. And if you don't stop, first of all, you could get a ticket. It's legal. Secondly, you could hurt somebody. If you don't stop, you could cause some serious damage by not stopping to yourself and to others. So let's bring this back to in a dating relationship. If you don't stop, you could end up really getting hurt in that relationship. You both of the other person, both of you, but that is the ramifications of what that could be. Okay, then let's look at the caution light. The caution light is not saying you necessarily have to stop, but sometimes you do, but you need to look and you need to pay attention because, you need to be careful, and there's ramifications for not being cautious through the yellow light, and then you have the green light, and the green light, yes, it's a go, but I do think that you still, because there have been time when the green light has been green and I've went through. I mean, I'm sorry, the light turns green and I still kind of pause because somebody just ignored that yellow caution and was like, I'm gonna go for it. And I'm like, okay, but my thing says green, I can go. But you have to use wisdom, and you're like, okay, even though you're like, okay, that person just ran, whatever. And I got the green light to go. I'm not. I want to kind of pause so that person can go and go forth. So it just made me think about all those things too. So I want to always try to be a person that I don't know it all and I never will know it all, and I want to have a teachable spirit and learn and to like, and then there are things that I do know, and it's like, okay, Latanya, um, just really just with myself, kind of like what the lady said on that discussion, where she was like, deep down, you really, really know. And I think there's some truth to that. I'm just said I respect y'all religion, but I have no religion. But I believe in God. And in dating, there are no rules. So y'all can use me as a teaching moment. I am the bad boy. It is what it is. Did you see that, Chris?
I did. I definitely saw that.
No, I am not sure I'm being real. Yes, you are the God man. You are the good man. I am the bad boy.
Well, there's no good man but God, bro. But again, you're aware that there is a God. You just choose not to, I guess, serve the same God I serve. But there's consequences. You make a choice. It sounds like you might have already made that. I hope not, but this isn't about being a bad boy. Doing that, living that kind of life, all you're doing is creating hurts. That's all it's doing, creating hurts and leaving a trail of mess. And whether you believe it or not, when you come to the end of life, my God says that you're going to end up coming to the judgment seat. And you're going to be held accountable for what you've done in this life. How many relationships ended in hurt and all of that because you want to have a good time or whatever the case may be. But while you draw a breath, I would urge you, seek Christ while you can and repent. Above all things, repent. I'm going to tell you this. I ain't judging you because I'm not a perfect man, but I'm not a bad boy either. So that's my advice to you and suggesting to you from one man to another.
Well, I don't know, Shireen. I know Millie had to go, and Millie, thank you for joining us tonight and being a part. As always, just willing to be a part of our panels, and thank you for what you had to say as well. And I want to say thank you, Chris, for coming on and being here with us and the male voice to the discussion. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's been a while, and it actually, it worked out that I could come on this time. So I'm like, let me come on tonight and be part of the panel. It was a good discussion for sure.
Yes, thank you. Shireen?
Yes, thank you, Chris. Yeah, it was really great to have you on. And like we mentioned earlier, it's no coincidence. This was all appointed by God because this gentleman here, Alpha, the first one, he's here. And I didn't think he was trolling at all. I think he was just sharing what it is that he does. And, grateful that Chris was there, that he could speak with him. Because sometimes that's what you need. You don't need women sometimes to address men. It needs to be men to address other men. Not saying we can't talk with him, but sometimes it's just better when a gentleman addresses another gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And even his last comment, I had to chuckle because at first I was like, huh? because he says he can accept all of that because there is no string attached. And I'm like, wait, are you talking about the channel? That's what I thought at first.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No pun
Yeah.
intended.
Right. I just thought that was funny. But yeah, Chris, thank you for, just sharing a little bit of the gospel with him, and
I mean, I pray it resonates with him. I mean, again, think it not strange that examples come on. And maybe he needed to hear that. I don't know. Because I don't think he would have just randomly came on like, I'm just going to come in here because you guys, maybe God directed him to come there to hear whatever the Lord had for me to say in that moment. Because I ain't know what to say. I'm sitting there reading and I'm like, okay, I know what I could say, but I'm not going to say that. So Lord, just, take over my speech and whatever you want him to hear, just use me as a vessel so that he can hear that. And it always works out better that way when you just let God take control. Like, let me stay over here in the corner because I messed it up too. Let him do what he needs to do. So it always works out better that way.
amen. That's a big amen. Yes.
Amen. Amen. Well, I want to say also thank you everyone who joined in the chat. Thank you, Alpha. Okay, Alpha, the first one, for joining. Thank you, Rosalind. I know some have already have left, but thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, someone else, KLN. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you. And I just want to make for sure. And then, of course, to those in the eye, thank you to all of you as well who have joined. Please like, share, and if you haven't subscribed to all of our channels, I want to just once again, if I want to just populate them again because it was a minute. Let me see. I will go here. Anthony's channel, Scattered Sheep Podcast. You could check his channel out. And then there is Chris, who was he's on the panel with us. He has a channel, and it's called Honest Talks.
Honest Conversations with Chris.
There you go. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes. And then we have No Strings Attached, -2, and that is a co-channel with Shireen and Slave of Christ.
No, it's Chloe and me.
Chloe and me. Oh, that's right. Sorry. Oops.
Yeah, Slave of Christ and Chloe and me. That's what it is.
There you go. There you go. And they are faithfully every Wednesdays
Tuesday and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go. There you go. Yes, every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. And then Shireen has her own channel. And I know I put it, where is it?
It's okay. That's all right.
Nope.
I don't have to put that there.
Nope. And
No,
then
because
Shireen,
not much on there. I mean, I've been posting more Chloe than anything, so it's okay.
okay.
Well, Chloe's the star. She's a co-star.
Yeah, she's the star.
Yes, she is the star. Yes. But but yes, there still check out her channel. There's will be things that will be happening, be some changes, additions. But anyways, yes, awesome, blessed channel. And so let me get out.
Hi, Lisa.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Oh,
Speaking of cats, Lily's right here next to me, laying here. She said, "Hey, ladies."
hi, Lily.
She's trying to stay warm.
Aw.
Is she? Oh,
Cody's
we on this
downstairs.
channel we have our fur babies and feathered babies.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, we have our fur babies and feather babies. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for. Oh no apologies, no apologies. But we are ending. So thank you for coming on. And so I will let me get myself off the okay. Oops. Okay, there we go. So I hope everyone have a good night rest and a Sabbath tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom. Tomorrow. Shabbat Shalom. Yes.
Hey.
On tomorrow. And I will say until next time.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.